Hello, everyone. This is another market moment with Randy Williams Gurian. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. It's been an exciting week in the U.S. equity markets. We've had some uh, pretty marquee earnings reports from some of the large cap tech companies, and it's interesting to see the market reaction. I think today's reaction to the largest internet reseller and the largest cell phone manufacturer in the world were, they both beat their numbers and had reasonably good outlooks, so that was positive. And then earlier in the week, we had some reports from essentially the largest software company and search engine company in the world, and they missed their numbers, but their stocks rallied. So a lot of negative news was baked into these earnings reports, and the companies rose up, and I think they beat them in the case of the two yesterday, and they missed in the case of the two on Tuesday, but it was good enough. So the earnings have been good enough, and that's really the story here. If you want to try and figure out when this bear market's going to end, if earnings do not collapse, which they haven't, and by the way, the earnings from the oil companies have been great. So we're not going to lose a lot of the lot more of the S&P value here if earnings hold together, and I think they have. And I think that's why we're seeing a better market this week. And it doesn't mean that the bear market's over, but it does give us some indication that things may not be as bad as Mr. Market thinks they are. And so the fear part of the market is fading. There's still a lot of headwinds to get over. The strong U.S. dollar, is one of them. But if you look at the 10-year Treasury bond, it's actually down at 2.6, 2.7, and that is an indication that the bond market is thinking we're gonna have a pretty big slowdown in the economy from the Fed rate hikes, which basically means then that inflation will hopefully come in. And when the economy starts to slow down so quickly, the Fed's going to have to pull back on some of its rate hikes, which will be, really sweet news to the equity market. So I think you can look at this week and shout hooray if you're an equity investor, or maybe a sigh of relief. And then the last thing I want to just touch on is my Mariners. They're having a really good season. There's talk of them possibly making the playoffs. I think that's would be terrific. What's really great to watch, though, is if you watch a lot of baseball, is that these guys are young. They've got some very talented young players that hopefully will be in Seattle for a long time this time, and which would translate potentially to being able to rise up and beat the Astros and the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets. Those are the large market teams. They typically go out and just buy a team. And sometimes they get lucky, like this year. The Yankees truly are really good. So